On day release, demon sub tries not to crease, and Ewok's keeping nice and warm in bed with Russian uniform. Meanwhile, the handyman is opening another can. Technical difficulties, they're really such a crime. Technical difficulties, they happen all the time. It's Yellow Belly Tabletop time. It's Yellow Belly Tabletop time. It's Yellow Belly Tabletop time. Sometimes they're salty about the gaming biz, and nobody knows who Upworlder is. Technical difficulties, they're really such a crime. Technical difficulties, they happen all the time. It's Yellow Belly Tabletop 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 time.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another live stream. Glad you could all join us.
Bonjour, bonsoir.
Fucking get Frenchy down there. We got
Well, we are the salty duo, and McDonald's France has recognised
we've got-
us.
I'm just trying to actually sort out. Paul Pandy in the chat has made a fantastic discovery in France. Apparently, was it French McDonald's or Burger King or something?
French McDonald's.
McDonald's. Apparently, they do a Yellow Belly Tabletop signature meal. Who knew? Let me see if I can share it with the folks at home.
Whereabouts in France are you, Pandy? Battlefields tour?
No, it didn't work. Okay, it is not there. I will see if I can find it and do it before the end of the show. Yes. What was it? The salty duo meal.
Yeah, the salty duo.
So that's it. We're famous. We're famous. We're now on the McDonald's menu in France.
We have broken the internet. We are popular in France, apparently.
Fucking brilliant. Yes, so good evening, everybody. Welcome to another live stream. We hope you're all ready and raring to go with hobby. Let's do the first thing. Let's get things out of the way. Let's shout out everybody in the chat. Hello to some dude on YouTube, Tim, from Germany. I hope you're probably not with us, Tim. I imagine you sort of like stole in, made a remark, and have now gone off to play BattleTech. Have we, or are you staying with us? Whatever. If you're having a game, good luck, mate. Pandy's obviously on holiday in France, hence sending us the bloody French McDonald's menu. That's Paul from Pandyman Entertainment. Go check him out online. We've got Cheese Me, Darren, Demon Sub on Instagram. Who else have we got in the chat tonight? We got Spam and Egg, which is David's other half, for those of you who are new to the show. We've got Upwelder, Trevor from our gaming club. Hello, Trevor. So, Darren kicks it off, looking in the chat. My hobby this evening, and for most of my day off today, is putting the many waterside daggers on my Gundam. I saw that in... Oh! Tim's here. No BattleTech tonight, Tim. David's better half. Yeah, I did see pictures of your Gundam in the old on tabletop chat. Darren, looks quite spectacular, mate.
Definitely David's better half after I was enabled this week with my Valentine's Day present, boys and girls. But more on that in a bit. Or one half of my Valentine's Day present. I can't wear the other half for stream.
10 mil. So, Tim's hobbying, painting 10 millimeter, not Lord of the Rings copplestone castings. Lord of the Rings 10 millimeter. Tim, what rule set are you going to be using for that? That sounds very intriguing.
Colourful, intriguing.
Yeah, it looks absolutely fucking huge, Darren. That bloody Gundam kit. Again, I'm not massively asking if the Valentine's present was a ring from Spam. Ooh, touch a nerve.
No.
Oh, diorama. Liking it. I'm assuming that's going to be a project, Tim. It probably already is.
Spam had rather a gaming themed Valentine's Day, because we've upgraded the wooden fucking paint rack to an acrylic one.
Cock ring. No, Tim. Sorry, mate.
Got some Lego for her, which was a fun experience to watch her build, to say the least. And then got her an expansion for her board game.
Right. And what did you get?
Well, boys and girls, let's come down to the desk. Shall we?
Usually they don't make them that small.
Fuck off, excuse me.
Maybe it's 10 millimeter scale.
Come down to the table, boys and girls.
Pardon me. Oh my god. Fucking hell. Very nice. Very nice.
Harder and Steinbeck Ultra Airbrush. Very German. Very well engineered. Very nice.
And you've just come back. While you've got it on camera, just show me the removable hopper where that comes apart. Oh, I see. It plugs straight out of that. Got you. Okay, mate. Do they do other sizes to plug into the shaft?
I think they do a couple of other sizes.
As extras. Do you know what? That is the one feature, everybody at home, I would like on my airbrush that I don't have. I am very happy with my Patriot.
I mean, again...
But I would like the flexibility of a smaller well so that I get less paint. Because when you put a small amount of paint in a hopper like that, it just gets fucking lost.
It's even little things like just this little cutout on the front of the trigger. It's so nice to just use to hook your finger back. Again, the fact that you can't pull back until you introduce airflow. This little adjustable ring at the back for setting how far I can pull the trigger back, depending on my paint mode. Bollocks. Bye. And again, it's just little quality of life things like it's really not focusing. The inside of that well, it's all round nose milled out, so it's actually really hard to get paint back up the body this way. It's really nice.
Nobody
It's
wants your
really
shaft,
shiny.
Crispin. Keep it to yourself, mate.
So yeah, that's
Hello,
what I
Dion.
got for Valentine's Day. And then today, we are going to still be working on Claws of Karanak and Boys and Girls, because I got an airbrush. Bollocks, I just dropped it. We did some base coating orange.
So this is obviously on I think last week and probably the week before.
Yeah.
You were doing your corn.
Hey, Dion.
Warcry miniatures, weren't they? And these are the guys, the vampire clan that was with them.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is, it is indeed Games Workshop, Crispin. They're from one of the Warcry starter sets. Blood Hunt. Yeah.
Blood Hunt starter set.
Do you know what, Crispin? Don't. With all the choice you've got in the world, don't buy Games Workshop.
And again, this is the first time I painted GW miniatures in anger in about 18 months, and I'm regretting life choices because of the amount of detail on them.
Oh dear. To be fair though, you're making good time. I mean, you've how many hours are you in with both factions? 6-ish, or not even that?
5 hours 44 minutes.
Yeah, so not 6 hours in isn't bad for where you've got to.
No.
Yeah, I like Mantic myself. I want to buy more Mantic. I want to get some more Dead Zone. I want to play some more Dead Zone. There's only Ricky at the club plays it with me, but I really want to play more of it.
I tell you what, though, I could probably build a Dead Zone warband out of the 3 STLs that I've got from the vault.
You almost certainly can, mate. You only need like 5 miniatures, 6 miniatures.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I should probably do.
So that wouldn't be a bad idea. Let me get my table set up and then I can show everybody what I'm working on. So I'm going to be painting I'm another of my multi-award winning. Come on, give me some light. Another one of my multi-award winning Moonstone miniatures. So in fact, actually, I don't think anybody's seen them on stream. Let me get out. So David's, well, I tell you what, the student is absolutely kicking the master's ass at the minute. David has gone from this sort of like obsessive paint at a snail's pace with every detail considered 14 times into like this absolute fucking machine. So you've painted all 6 of your Moonstone miniatures, haven't you?
No, go again. 7.
7. See what I mean? I've managed to get. So this is Noel, the troll. Just needs a little bit of varnish to take the shine off him. A GW satin or a matte miniature, and obviously basing isn't done yet. I'm going to go with a really simple dark brown, and then just tons of grass and phlox, just to give it a sort of very green forested Greenland look. But I'm really pleased with the way the troll turned out. Most pleased with the fabrics, because I was a bit hesitant about the colour choice. Check our previous streams for that. But after you got a bit of Ethonian camo shade slathered all over it, I think it's come up nice. So that one's done, but for basing. Jackalope was an easy paint. I basically just one colour, dry brush, pick out the horns and eyes and mouth.
You took the easy wins, didn't
Bish bash
you?
bosh, done. And then the first of the 3 witches. This is Danica the Twilight Witch? Question mark. Correct me.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Put the actual name in the comments. This is so. But in the witch set, you have three witches, well, the same witch essentially at three different stages of life. You get when she's a young woman, when she's a middle-aged matronly woman, and then when she's an old hag. If you look at the original on the multi-award-winning Moonstone website, the skin tone's very green. It's almost orc green, and I wasn't really sure I wanted that. And actually, my missus was the one who we talked about it for ages, and I was like, well, I don't really know how to get an effect I'm looking for, and she said, well, just pale sand, and then I just put it's only in camo shade on it, and I was like, actually, that looks pretty fucking good. So it's like, bosh, fucking done.
Hats off, Ross.
Do you know what? That's the one thing that Ross has always had an eye for, colour. Ever since I started painting, the one question I know I can go to Ross with is advice on colour selection and colour palette. And then we're going to do, this one is, I think her name begins with A. I want to say Anastasia or something like that. Somebody in the comments can tell us, or in the chat can tell us who this is. I'm going to try and get some base coats down on this little lady. And that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. So if you are hobbying, as you should, because this is a hobby live stream, just stick it in the comment in the chat if you're here now with us, or in the comments down below if you're watching later on YouTube. Please, and you can share with us. So, I mean, without an introduction, we've just got straight into the meat and potatoes of tonight's show. What we will be doing over the next couple of hours is we will go through a little bit of what we did at our gaming club on Monday. Now, I don't know, should we do the news first and come to the gaming club stuff after, or do that?
Yeah, we can do. I'm just watching Sam get roasted in chat by Dion, her friend's daughter. Her daughter's friend, there we go, I can English, about the Valentine's Day present.
Right, okay. So, yeah, we'll talk about what we got up to at club. We will share a couple of videos and stuff off the internet. Then we will chat crap and waste a bit of time until we get round to 9 o'clock, and then we'll get into our main topic. And what we wanted to do tonight was, this is really from me, but I have a sort of like a philosophical theory that we as wargamers could learn a lesson or two from particularly board gamers and to some degree
just you be careful,
role
you're going to get
players.
us demoted and our mouths washed out with soap and bleach if you're not careful saying shit like that.
We can always learn from the other side. So yeah.
Wow, I realised who Dion is before fucking even Sam did. Wonderful. Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
Well, tonight's just got degenerate quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sitting here hypnotised. The chat's just doing its own thing. Right, okay, so colours for this. Now, let's go to web browser. Bing! So this is what I'm painting tonight. Now, obviously, the multi-award-winning Moonstone for miniatures are all painted to a fantastic standard with loads of subtle, natural hues,
highlights,
and
natural colours.
But we're not doing any of that shit. We're going for
fuck that for a game of soldiers.
Yeah, fuck that noise. So we're going for basic colours plus wash. So if we do, looking at Antonia, that's her name, the Noonday Witch. She's got like a reddish brown for a main robe. she's got like a yellowish beige, something like Japanese uniform
Um,
for her apron. That
what
could work.
about?
What else? And then she's got like an orangey top. Is that all one dress with like just a cinched waist? No, I think it is a separate top. Maybe. Separate top. Meh meh. Meh meh
Just
meh.
fucking make it up as you go along. Stop overthinking shit. Get on with
Yeah,
it.
so
You'd
we
be
want-
complaining at me right now.
We want like an orangey brownish colour. Ooh. Orange brown. The clue is in the name. Don't you think? And flesh tone, we're gonna go quite dark. Let's go dark flesh, I think.
I mean, I didn't
Show
want,
her heavily tanned features.
Why am I being attacked? Fucking hell, quiet.
Oh my god, it's degenerated into caps. It's all caps in the chat. Oh dear god. Right, what's the time? 20 past. Look at this. Crazy how time flies. Let's
News! It's the news! It's the news!
Oh, of course. It is the news, isn't it? Now then.
Don't forget you need to hit buttons.
Yeah. Does this?
It's the part of the show that we have come to know as
There
the
we go.
latest salty blizzard of nerdy sorrow. More news than you can shake the salt at. More news than you can shake the salt at.
Thank you so much to Ewok Kebab for that fantastic jingle. I will do a splash screen at some point so we can literally just like splash into that and then swipe back to us here on the main view. But for now, just savor the brilliance of that jingle. So where were we? We were on news. This one, this is actually quite cool. There hasn't been a hell of a lot. Here he is. Yay! Re-rattled his cage and he appeared. Beetlejuice. Right.
No, we didn't say Iraqi stand and Russian uniform. You just said Iraqi sand. It didn't summon him.
Yeah,
Love you, Ewok.
he's arrived prematurely. Nobody mentioned the sacred colours. To be fair, you all missed your opportunity when I was asking what colour to paint this witch, weren't you?
Well, no,
so-
because if you ask the channel what colour that witch should be painted, they will say red and white.
Yeah, Paul's in. Paint her like Santa. It's Mrs. Claus to you. Yeah, he's in France. Yeah, here we go. Go on then. Let's get it out. Let's get all the gags out. Red like Santa.
No, you don't get all the gags out.
Oh,
Anyway,
this is our
we
third
forgot
anniversary as well,
I was
people.
going to say we got something. Where's your leather Stetson?
Oh, do you know what? I completely forgot all about it. This is the problem with streaming after work. You have a crap day at work, come home burned out, and the last thing is to sort of like think about what we're going to do on stream, which is, you know. So yeah, it is our third anniversary, everybody. Thank you to everybody who's watched us over the last 3 years, and interacted with the stream in any capacity. You have really given me and David endless amounts of pleasure, and it's been brilliant. And we might only be a little microscopic dot in the ocean that is YouTube, but I'm grateful for every one of you. So there you go.
I'll tell you what has been lovely. I can't English.
Words are hard. This is the second time today.
I'm just having a stroke on the screen. Jesus. I'll tell you what has been lovely. It's been lovely to put faces to names like Ewok, the other lad that's from up Yorkshire way, James, can't remember what
Shakos
Addy is, those Shakos, etc.
from
It's
Sheffield.
been lovely to see you guys, talk to you guys in the flesh, because again, all we do is chuck dice for pleasure. Okay, no, don't you start that spam.
I can't see the chat. I'm watching. I've got the video up. What's
He
this?
remembers their anniversary.
Oh, that's fucking brilliant.
Darren, you make it sound like you've stalked us at a show, but not come over to
He's probably got
put a face to a name, mate.
He's probably got some. He's probably stalked. He probably has stalked us and taken clandestine photos, which will
like some fucking CIA
Yeah.
operation.
Fucking MI6.
We're on a watch list somewhere. It's just Darren's watch list.
Yeah. We're certainly not on many watch lists on fucking YouTube. Have you seen how many subscribers we've got?
2 hour.
Yeah. Anyway, Matt of Mini Wargaming. So I think I've shown a couple of Matt's videos before. He's got this side project channel now that he's doing away from Mini Wargaming, where he's sort of like just indulging himself with the kind of content that Mini Wargaming would never make. I mean, years ago they did experiment with this sort of like talking head content from Matt, and I think he's always wanted to do it.
Again, I think
he's done
to be fair though, talking head has become popular since the old Rona.
Yeah, I think I hear a lot of content creators saying that the sort of the stuff that's trendy is swinging round to that. Obviously, because we don't really give a shit about that sort of thing and we just do what we want, it doesn't really impact on our content schedule. But
we are a law unto ourselves,
Yeah.
boys and girls. If you're new here, fucking buckle up.
yeah, yeah. If you thought that we were chasing any kind of fucking algorithm, wrong.
Your numbers show your shirt. No.
What is it? What is it about your shirt? What?
What is it about my shirt? Well, you might get the pleasure of seeing it on Saturday, mate, when you nip over for a game.
Oh, what's he got? A picture of himself topless on it?
No, not myself topless on it, at least.
So yeah, this video, he's basically trying to. I think he's trying to start a little experiment. Obviously, Matt's not. He's been designing custom campaigns focused around Games Workshop products on the Mini Wargaming channel. That's his main endeavour. With Mini Wargaming Dave, his mate from Canada. And then him and Dave have launched a Ravaged Star, which is a sci-fi. Essentially,
let's give credit where credit's due. It's a 40k knockoff.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Yeah,
so close to 40k.
It's 40k firefight style game, so far future, high tech, relatively large scale tabletop war game. By large scale, I mean sort of like 40 to 60 models, I think.
High model count. That's better.
High model count. So he's already done that project, and I believe that he was, really quite a large driving force of the rules for that game. But he now wants this video. He's basically talking about creating the Mini Wargaming equivalent of the Dungeons and Dragons open gaming license, which is quite an interesting little premise. So essentially what he's doing is setting out his initial thoughts on his game and his system. The game is going to be called Solar Requiem. He envisages it being a campaign-driven, low model count sci-fi game where the focus is very much on model development over the campaign. So the best analogy I can think of is probably more time in space.
Frostgrave in space.
Well, I think he's envisaging it to be more like more time in that every model has development paths. It's not just focused around the wizard.
You don't have a wizard in Stargrave, but
oh well, yeah, but in Stargrave rather, the captain and the first mate are the only ones that change. It's a la Frostgrave, isn't it?
I'm pulling your leg.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, and it's quite a good little watch. Now it's just a first glimpse at what he's got in mind. He invites people to join a Discord server that he's setting up for it, because obviously he wants it very much to be an open project where he creates a core lore, if you like, but really in terms of factions, models, rules, add-ons.
Fucking hell, jeez me.
He wants it to be very much a collaborative and participative event
experience
with the entire community.
I will say hats off to him.
Yep.
Unsure that the reason I say unsure is because I know he's aiming for the equivalent of like the OGL for D&D in a war game.
Yes.
But my initial concerns, based on just what you said after watching that video, is he's focused in very much on what he wants to do in the game and the fact that it's like you say, more time in space, rather than necessarily building an environment for people to want to open it up to different streams, etc. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because again, we all have 40k minis laying around. Because
I tell you what, though, the one thing I will say, and because David and I are sort of like immersed in gaming development ourselves at the moment, I do like Matt's approach to lore writing. He's very clever. Did you watch this video? Did you get the TLDR?
Did I fuck?
Okay, let me give you the TLDR.
I live under a rock at the moment.
Okay, so basically, this is why you're getting so much painting done, obviously. Basically, the TLDR for this is he...
No need to attack me like that.
He's it's the humans on Earth are fighting each other pretty much chaotically. It's like World War III. Then somebody comes up with an AI. The AI explodes. It sort of like becomes self-aware, and it basically takes control of Earth and ends World War III. And rather than this being a nightmare dystopia, it actually turns into an Eden-like peace for the humans on Earth, where the AI does an almost perfect job of curating their environment and making them happy. And then, just when everybody is sort of like teched up to the max, because the AI basically enables massive advances in science and technology, and we sort of explore the entire solar system and settle all the planets and mine the Mercury for all of its iron reserves and that. Basically, the AI just suddenly shuts down and goes away, and it leaves humanity to its own devices.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah. So, and then basically, at that point, human beings revert to type and all-out war breaks out, with everybody fighting over the resources and that sort of thing.
Okay, so it sounds like it's got a cool premise behind it. I will say that.
I don't know, mate. If he's ripped it off from the video game Destiny, which I think is a video game, isn't it? I wouldn't
Yes, it
know
is.
because I've never played it.
You wouldn't know because you're an old curmudgeon.
Yeah. But even if he has ripped it off,
What
I
paint
still
is that?
think it sounds really cool as a premise for a game.
Yeah, I mean, again, I get the vibes behind it, like that it was a perfect Eden, and now it's all gone a bit tits up.
Yep.
It's just for me. I don't. I'm a bit on the fence about it. Like I like my sci-fi games rather clean. Look at Infinity. Look at Drop. Like Drop Zone Commander's probably not clean. The miniatures and stuff are clean, and the fact that we're purging the fucking scourge from the face of the earth is clean. But space racism is a thing apparently. Oh, I said the R word on YouTube. We've just
That's
got
it. Demonetized. Oh, hang on. Hang on. It's all right. Calm down. We're all
Who am I
right.
kidding? Right. What's next in the news, boy?
What I will say, I'm a bit like you. I'm mentioning that this is an interesting project, and I like to see people experimenting with wargaming. And the idea of creating this open, fan-driven product is great. But I've already gone on record on a stream that we've done, where I think that campaign games are not really the way that I would like to go generally, because they just take up too much time. And
It is the problem, and we'll come to that actually with when we round out the news and talk about what we did at club this week, because we're doing it all in a weird order, boys and girls. Yeah, like you, I want to play more campaign games, but I don't have time to play more campaign games. Again, it's part of the reason that I no longer play the good old Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it's just they're too time intensive. Don't get me wrong, they can be incredibly rewarding, but for me, as soon as he was starting to say, "Oh, I mean, you need to play multiple games and upgrade your," I'm like, yeah, but then it becomes one of only 2 games I can ever play, Matt. So, no, sorry.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
So yeah, but you know, it might turn out to be a really interesting project, and we'll have to see where it goes. Whether it just dies and disappears into obscurity, or whether
Cheese me.
it becomes good.
Those 2 words don't belong together in a sentence. Short and campaign.
Oh, I hate it when it does that. The only other video
Uncle
I've got
Atom?
picked out is this one from Uncle Atom, where basically he sort of David and I did discuss whether we could do a response video to this, because I do like the Tabletop Minions content, particularly when he does his like mini lists of things. I think he's a very, I mean, again, he's a chap of my age, if not older, and he's been in the hobby for forever, you know, since God was a child, and he's got some.
Did you literally just compare yourself to God?
Well, no, obviously not. God, you know, I am God. Comparisons would be moot.
God would paint more miniatures.
Fucking hell! Hush.
Sorry. Do you want me to take the dagger out of your back?
Oh dear, that is so harsh. God, was he really? That's even older than I can remember, Tim. But I'll take your word for it. So it's, I mean, again, we did discuss doing a response video, but to be honest, it's just his weird opinions. Like, the first one is he doesn't like games that play on hex grids. Tim. He only likes clean open battlefields with free movement. He thinks that anything that plays on any kind of grid or array of sort of like fixed spaces is basically a board game pretending to be a miniatures game. controversial. Which, I mean, again,
BattleTech called.
yeah, BattleTech called and said you're wrong. What else did he say on his video? He thinks the little puddle bases that go between models' feet. Have I got one here to show everybody what I mean? Probably not.
Moonstone bases, isn't it?
Well, no, they've
Or
got
you-
like they've got slotters, but they're all glued down anyway and trimmed. But if you get some of it was classic in the metal cast era when models didn't have separate plastic bases. You get
missed,
like
you missed a word on that sentence. Back in my
day, you actually got like a little metal puddle that the feet fixed to, that was like generally smaller than bases are now, and it just sort of gives the miniature something to stabilize it.
That's a bastard for it. Reaper.
Yes, you still see it on a lot of Reaper. A lot of Dungeons and Dragons, sort of like role-playing adjacent miniatures have them. But basically, he just says how he fucking despises them. That's number 4 there. But anyway, it's basically just 4 weird opinions that Uncle Atom holds that didn't really.
At the internet,
yeah, it's just
video.
Old man shouts at the sky, which is, do you know what? It's good on him. It's a good watch, and it's only 12 minutes. Well, 13 of your Earth minutes. So yeah, and that is the news. That's all of it. And we've got
No. There is more news.
There is there? Go on then.
TT Combat. Fuck you and the hype train you rode in on.
Oh dear.
I'm gonna step onto my soapbox.
You did mention this, but I trawled the internet, mate, and I couldn't find anything about it.
2 weeks cock teasing the fact that you're doing fucking Drop Zone Commander at 28mm and 32mm of, we've been talking to Dave today from Hawk Wargames. Fucking pack it in, give me the fucking Kickstarter and be done with it. Peace over, said, done.
Oh my god. So, are you sure you want him to bother, mate? Are you sure you don't go in, you don't sound...
I'm not allowed to buy the fucker anyway, am
I? Oh yeah, of course, our pledge. No new games.
I do have a question for the boys and girls at home, actually.
Go on.
Malifaux is already on Paul's list of games that Paul owns. Actually, technically, it's on the list of games that I own because you gave me a miniature.
There you go.
So
Get out of jail free card.
Now I need to ask the question.
Yeah, see, I've already given you your first. I've already broken the lock on it for you. It doesn't count as new because I've given you a miniature.
This is so much. This is going to be the rest of our year, isn't it? Because hang on a minute, does it count if we get free miniatures at Expo?
Oh,
get given them.
Oh, no, I don't think it does. I think it.
Spam has just said, no, you don't own the game. It's just a miniature.
He doesn't have to. He only has to buy a few more, Spam.
Only what? Another...
He only got to spend another 50 or 60 quid. 2 boxes should do it.
But, interestingly, boys and girls, does it count as a new war game, seeing as Paul already owns it? It's new for me.
Say everybody say no.
I want opinions before I start breaking pledges that I made.
Yeah, Cheesebee's giving you another out. You can just collect the minis and not play the game, and then it won't count either.
Good man.
That's
a suspicious amount of Elder Scrolls you've got under your arm, David. Yeah, I'm just collecting the miniatures. 2026 starts playing Elder Scrolls.
Oh dear. Oh my Ewok, nobody wanted that image, right? Fucking Spam says, okay, I have 6 pairs of pajamas, but new pajamas don't count as I already have.
Look, I'm just asking a theory question. Right. Shall we
Fucking hell.
talk about what we got into at club on Monday? Because actually, this may be quite a controversial topic.
Yeah, we might. That's it. Our massive viewership will be crashing and burning as we sort of like spew heresy online. So, I've got a picture. I have
put
a
the picture up. Tell if boys and girls at home can tell what we played. And
that's probably too small for anybody to be able to tell. They're going to say, that appears to be some jungle buildings on Mars. But don't let that fool you. It has nothing to do with jungles or Mars. We played the multi-award-winning Moonstone.
Both Darren and Demons have got it before you said it.
They probably spotted the minis. So this is my second game of Moonstone, and David's first.
How did it win multiple awards?
Sorry?
How did it win multiple awards?
That's a fair question. And one I'm not entirely sure I know the answer to. Now, I did enjoy my first game, which was essentially played with the 2-player starter set. And Tim, thank God for you. See, Tim said freebooters fate. In fact, do you know what we could?
Those rooftops remind me of dating a ginger in the 80s. Fucking hell, Ewok. Don't hold back.
Oh dear. What was I going to say? So, I enjoyed my first game of Moonstone.
Where you played with the starter set.
Playing with the starter set. Now, I don't remember thinking, oh, this is fantastic and it's the best game ever. But I do remember thinking, yeah, I can see why this game...
She's all right. She's all right.
I can see why people would play this game, and I think there's something interesting that this game is trying to do that other games do not do. Particularly the way that the card combat mechanic works, which is like a weird variation on rock, paper, scissors. With attack cards, defense cards, and then whatever you play, the effect that it has depends upon what each player plays. So, the fact that there are no dice in it except a d6 to determine initiative, everything else is card and resource driven. I like the ideas.
Miniatures are very characterful. I can see why it won the People and Judges' Choice for miniatures.
Definitely, that's an absolute that's an absolute shoe-in. You can see why Moonstone would win awards for its models. Absolutely, unarguably. They are fantastic character. They're incredibly well cast out of resin. They're really good value for money. They're incredibly easy to buy because they're sort of split down into little packs of 3, which have a sort of theme. To build an army, you just buy 2 boxes, and as long as they've got a common faction, you're good to go.
Tim's just said the following: Jerry will be coming around and collecting our gamers permits soon. It was nice knowing us, and condolences to Spam and Egg for becoming a widow.
Yeah, he's probably right.
Spam's just attacked me back and said she's got to be married to be a widow.
Oh my god, now my missus is wading in. That's what you said to
No.
me when we first, something 20 years ago, by the way. You showed me yours first. Oh my god.
Chat is just fucking degenerate and thirsty tonight.
Fucking hell. Okay, let's stop painting. We played 2 games. Because it's only David had never played before, and I played once forever ago. Must be well over a year. More like 2, probably. I don't know. We played 3 models each for the first.
Well, I basically said to Paul, let's play 3 models each, check that we've got like the combat and mechanics going down. Spam, stop it.
Hang on a minute. How do you ban people from the chat?
Asking for a friend.
Oh dear. Sorry, mate. Yes.
But yeah, I said to you, let's play 3 models each first. Let's check that we've got the mechanics down, and then we can play full fat.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I did feel a little bit overwhelmed at the prospect of taking 6 miniatures and all of the gump on their cards to begin with for my very first game.
Yes.
And I will say, good shout from David, because we completed the first 3-man game in what, 45 minutes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first good news is, I think there is a lot going on in Moonstone. There is a lot going on in Moonstone. And the game is self-aware enough to know this because it limits the game length to 4 turns. So,
and secondly, it does say when you play a 3 or a 4-player game, don't bring your entire collections, bring fewer miniatures so that there's only 12 on the table at any one time.
Yeah. And again, that exhibits fantastic self-awareness on behalf of the designer, that he's like, it doesn't matter how many players there are, never put more than 12 models on the table or you'll be there all fucking night. So we played the first game, and David won. I think it was 1 Moonstone to 0 or something like that. Because obviously the win con in the game is collecting Moonstones. Everything else that you do is irrelevant. You just need to collect Moonstones. The second game he won 2-1 or 2-0.
Yeah, at the time we called it because we got to turn 3.
Yeah, turn 2 or 3. So we didn't, because after we'd done the first game, we said, okay, now we'll play with the 6 models. Don't get me wrong, we will be playing some more of Moonstone. I've got 2 things to say. First of all, first of all, it's very like Malifaux in a lot of respects. The fact that it uses cards as its main RNG. The characters are very similar to Malifaux in that there is a ton going off. There is a ton of stuff in every model.
Yeah, but I want to counter that with it's even worse than Malifaux, because I don't know about you, but I certainly didn't feel like I had much agency when it came to combat. The fact that we shuffled that deck constantly, drew the number of cards, picked one, compared, did damage, etc., and that kind.
Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah.
I didn't feel in control, whereas I know from Malifaux, not that I've played any, we can cheat in cards and that kind of thing.
Yes. I would say that is my biggest weird I don't get it from Moonstone, right? The card combat system, the way it's done, is actually quite random. I don't think there really is a ton of... I don't think you've got a ton of control in terms of... Do you know what I mean? It's not tight. It's not like Infinity, where you can sort of like manipulate the numbers to your advantage and get the ranges right.
No, and again, I will say the fact that the damage output is quite high, particularly when you double or triple crit.
Yeah.
and the models themselves don't have a lot of health points,
No.
does make for some very bang bang, oh he's dead, bang bang, oh he's dead.
Yeah. Taking models out in one turn is not a challenge with just a couple of attacks from a couple of models. My concern and my main impression, having played the first game, is that actually the game's fiddly and complex, but at the heart of it is some quite random interactions. And the beauty of a game like Frostgrave is that the D20 in Frostgrave makes Frostgrave ridiculously random. Like, it swings all over the place, and it is basically when
It's
you
good,
walk.
it's bad, it's either or. Anything's got a chance of killing anything in Frostgrave.
Yeah, and when you walk into combat, you know it's just like chuck the D20 and hope. Particularly if you're playing with the optional critical rules and that sort of thing. It is, you know, most sort of peon models can be removed with a single successful hit. So it's just like, it is really random. But that's not a problem because the rules overhead on the game is fucking minimal. Okay, so it's like, it leans into the whole beer and pretzels, chuck dice, tell a story, yay, it's just a bit of fun. Don't get overly invested.
And the campaign does as well. The campaign elements of it really feed into that as well, of developing your stuff and telling a story.
Or watching everything die so you can only buy scrubs because you have you know, bloody thugs and thieves.
You don't have enough gold to rebuy your apprentice.
Exactly. But the problem as I see it, the problems I experienced it from Moonstone was there seemed to be a huge amount of button twiddling and fucking, particularly with my faction and the models I'd picked, there was a lot of trigger this special ability to get this effect, then use this model next to trigger this ability to get this effect on this other model, to then do this, and then and you're like chaining together these really sophisticated chains of actions, but then ultimately somebody can just come up to you and you'll play like glorified Snap, where you reveal a card and get tanked for 6 damage. And it's like, why did I do that? As I say, I think
the biggest thing for me as well is the fact that I'm feeling more in control when it comes to melee combat than I do with the arcane stuff, which is irritating. I know why it's been done, to make arcane slightly less broken, because obviously it's at range. But at the ranges we're talking anyway, 8 inches, it's not a million miles away to just go smash the face in. I mean, the other thing, and I don't know if we were necessarily playing this right or not, and I found it a bit annoying, the fact that basically you can only move 4 inches and then step, and use all your actions for that for a turn is just irritating.
Yeah. Given the amount of time, it's played on a 3-foot square board, miniatures do begin 10 inches up the table, and the vast majority of the moonstones will be placed around the middle of the board because of the weird deploy objectives rule, where you literally physically drop them from the sky, I don't know, 24 inches above the table and watch them bounce and scatter about. I just think that in most games going forward, it's going to be a lot of move, step, harvest to pick up moonstones, and then there's going to be a little flurry of activity around the fourth one to break the tie, because there's 7 on the board. So obviously, if both players grab 3 quickly, then you'll end up just contesting the fourth and the end of in the last turn. Now, I'm gonna, massive caveat. We've played 1 game. 1 game is nothing in the scheme of things. But our initial impression is there's too much busy work in this game, and streamlining
I mean, again,
it.
resetting that deck every time you, not even every turn,
Yeah,
every
yeah,
time you take a combat action.
yeah,
Like, come on, dude.
yeah. I mean, and again, it's done because he wanted to have specific probabilities in play for every interaction that involved a hand of cards. So you have a tiny deck of 18 cards, or 21 in the case of the arcane deck. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah. 21.
And then it's like, like you say, every interaction you shuffle up, start again. Draw your cards, shuffle up, start again. And it's like, it's just a ton of time. So yeah, we will play it again, and we will pass our completely unwanted opinions onto the internet. We didn't play a scenario, Darren. Right, so this is a good... Darren asks a very pertinent question.
Night cheese, mate.
Yeah, night cheese, mate. So we didn't play any specific scenario. We played like the tournament scenario where you sort of like just set up 10 inches, drop the moonstones, go. No special deployment rules, no special scenario rules, nothing like that. Now, obviously, that aspect of play is huge in Moonstone, and it's really interesting actually how loads of different things from other games have been pulled together. So where in Frostgrave the missions have specific rules for a neutral monsters, specific rules for objectives, they're basically generic. So it doesn't matter what you or your opponent bring, that doesn't impinge on the scenario. The way Moonstone does it more is that it has these scenarios, and then there are sometimes recommendations for models that might be good to
like
play
a themed list.
which is very much the same as Carnivale in a sense. So when you look at a Carnivale scenario, it will say player A should bring Strigoi at 50 ducats, player B should bring Guild at 100 ducats. And they've got very definite ideas of how they think it should work. And then it does say, just like with Moonstone, if you don't have these models, bring what you fucking like. So there is an either or, but you can tell where the designers were going in their heads when they wrote the game. So, in answer to your question, Darren, yes, that is a fair point. We probably do need to play it with a scenario where there's more going on in the game than just run around, gather moonstones, and you're done.
Beat shit out of each other. And
it probably will open another dimension to it. Darren said there that he loves the game, but it never really gelled with his friends. Did your friends ever say anything like the things we're saying, mate? Or what was the reason? What did you perceive?
It didn't gel. Yeah. Tim's possibly just come up with a good stream idea there.
What's
if you
that?
play with a lot of house rules, are you still playing the game, or are you playing a completely different game?
Okay, that is a good idea for a stream topic.
Not explicitly for a stream, but it's what he's just mentioned in relation to Trevor's comments on house ruling stuff.
To be honest with you, Trevor,
that and thought, ooh.
my first impressions are, well, my sort of rule of thumb is this: you should not really be attempting to house rule a game until you've played it a fair bit, because the problem with house ruling a game you've played twice is that
You
if
don't
you're
know what you're fixing or if you're going to make
correct,
the situation worse.
and I think we have actually discussed this on a previous stream with examples. You know, to diagnose what is, I'm going to use the phrase even though it's a bit pejorative, and obviously I don't mean it to be this way, but even if you think you've identified what's wrong with the game system,
Yeah.
to actually
Crispin, what
to think that
style are
you've
you
done
looking
that
for,
after
mate?
2 plays, I think you're flattering yourself.
Unless you are the game dev, then yeah.
Yeah, because but that's a different thing, because when you're developing a game, you know where you're going, and you literally just need to keep steering and correcting the ship to the destination. That's not the same as playing a game and finding the flaws in it. Um, uh, So Darren
Crispin,
just says the main reason that they never bought into the game, so I provided all the miniatures. They never really got to know the characters and their rules to play it effectively. That's fine, mate. So basically, they didn't give you like, that was nice, but we won't play it because of X, or I don't really want to buy this because of Y. They just basically were like, yeah, that's lovely, mate. That's lovely, Darren. Sure, we want to play 40k. It's like, so they just didn't want to play it.
Give me a minute, Crispin. I will send you a link to something, and then we can discuss after, mate. Just bear with me. I just need to get this bandage painted, and then I will be with you.
So it's 3 minutes past 9. That was a nice little discussion. As I say,
yeah, multi-award-winning Moonstone. Little bit disappointed for a first game play experience. Like, I'll play it again, but again, it's what Paul said. It just, things didn't seem to click. There seemed to be a lot of shuffling and fucking around for the sake of shuffling and fucking around.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, to contrast it, Infinity is hugely rules dense. And I always feel in Infinity that I am the master of my own destiny. And I know when I've screwed up, and it's rare that things go horribly wrong in Infinity, and I don't think, if I'd have done this, that could have been better. It never comes down to, well, I just can't.
And again,
I just can't roll right.
The RNG, as we've said already tonight, with the decks leaves a little bit to be desired. I know that they've been done in a certain way and they're nice and tight and everything else, but they just don't quite sit right with me.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it backfires because this sort of like having a hand of cards and then playing one face down against your opponent, rock, paper, scissors style, is an illusion of control. You know, because
that's cool.
Oh, are you looking at something that you've been sent?
No, Taxari Factory do some orcish monuments, and they're carved in like the style of Mount Rushmore.
That sounds pretty cool.
Instead,
right?
Because I'm just down a rabbit hole because I was just going to have a look at something for Crispin.
Oh, okay.
To see if it's up his street. Because I've got a copy of it, so I was going to just talk to him about it. That was all.
Okay. So, shall we get into our main topic, mate?
We can do. Do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, as this is very much my sort of like headspace that has been thinking about this question. So, obviously, as the clickbait, complete total clickbait thumbnail says, the idea about this is, where this all stems from is, in miniature wargaming, there is a sort of accepted model for entry into the hobby, and certainly within to entry into particular games within the hobby space. And it normally goes like this. There is a group of friends who maybe some already play a game, or the group in itself is interested in getting into the game. And as a player who wants to get into the game, whatever game that might be, the game system is largely irrelevant. It's more the process is what it is for every miniatures war game to some degree. You then
Crispin, I've just sent you a Facebook link, mate.
you might play a demonstration game at a show. You might have a friend, or you might have a couple of friends that already own armies and they show you it, or they show you a game in progress, or they even give you a taster game. And then you say, okay, or God forbid you even go in blind just because you saw something cool on the internet. And you either go away and you then buy everything that you need to buy to play that game. So you might buy a rulebook, you might buy army models to build yourself a force that is legal to play in that game. You might buy yourself some terrain, just so that if you get an opportunity and you do play at home, that you can play with a friend or set yourself
Why do
up.
I feel like I'm being attacked for our Flames of War purchase?
No, not at all. Not at all. And everybody in the group does the same thing. So everybody goes away and spends a little bit of time and attention on their bit of whatever that game is. They work on their corner of that game. It is much more unusual for somebody to do exactly what, in my experience, it is more unusual for somebody to do what Darren has done, and which he mentioned in the comments earlier, where he essentially got a load of miniatures, a load of terrain, got himself all set up so that he could play the game with nobody else needed to do anything except turn up and play the game. He did all of the prep, all of the early work. He effectively turned himself into a gaming advocate for Moonstone. And although it's becoming more popular, I still think it's not as common as it could be, right?
Well, I mean, again, you compare this to board gaming. A lot of people have board gaming collections, and yes, I know obviously there's differences, there's less commitment and things, but the principle still being people just turn up and play. They share and exchange the games between themselves, don't they?
Very much so. So, like,
See you, Dion.
see you, Dion. So, one example that is sort of like at the front of my mind. Let's give an example before we move on to like the board gaming thing. But the board gaming thing is where it's at. So, like, Jerry and Shay on Tabletop are both sort of committing as a pair to playing, I believe it's 6mm American Civil War. It might be 10mm. Somebody can correct me in the chat. And
Tiny historicals. There we go.
Jerry has his Union force basically ready to go. So I don't know if him and Shay split an army deal or did something, but basically they've got the forces to play Unions versus Confederates, and Jerry is basically ready to go. And over several of the weekenders, when the guys talk about their hobby, it's popped up where the question is, where are you, Shay? Are you ready to? Have you put together all your artillery yet? Have you done this? Have you done that? So effectively, Jerry's done his bit, and the game isn't happening now until Shay does his bit. And the point I'm making is that this is very common in
Well,
wargaming.
again,
This
I'm
is
gonna
very
say-
common in wargaming.
Me and you are guilty of this. You're
Yeah.
all ready to go on your Wild West Exodus. You're waiting on me to finish the terrain and me to finish painting my factions before we play a game.
Yeah, very true. And
I just want to say, we aren't
yeah,
not guilty.
we
of this,
we
boys
do
and
this.
girls.
And to be fair, look at Moonstone. We both bought just enough models to play one side, one game, one faction, and you know, we've had to work as a team. Admittedly, you've done better than me, but we've had to work as a team to get ready to play. If I hadn't have assembled and, you know, at least got my models on bases, Monday night would have been a shit show. As it was, it wasn't great because I wasn't fully painted. But do you know what I mean? It even with us two,
Again,
who are
refer to earlier comment of the student has become the Padawan, because usually I would be the fucker playing with grey miniatures,
Yeah.
not Paul. Just
Things
want to
are
point that out
inverted.
to the boys and girls at home.
The world's gone mad. Now, David mentioned board gamers, right? Now, if you're a part of a board gaming circle, and many of you might be who watching us on YouTube, modern board games are expensive. 60 to 100 quid is not unusual in the board gaming sphere. For these large, these large games that take 2 to 3 hours to play, and they're really an evening activity among 4 to 5 people, right? So what happens in board gaming is you still do get it where you get people who don't commit and somebody becomes the guy who basically gets everything. But
Leech has negative connotations, but
yeah, parasitizing.
yeah, let's refer to them as the leech.
But it's far more common that in a group of board gamers, like there might be 4 or 5 friends that meet semi-regularly, even a formal club. Night, Darren. One of them will say, "Well, I bought Scythe." Now the other guys don't go, "Oh, I've got Scythe as well, and I've got Scythe." What happens then is everybody else goes, "Okay, so you've got Scythe. We don't need to worry about that. I tell you what, I'm going to do. I'm going to get the others or Sevens or whatever, another game. I'm going to get something else, and then we're all going to bring it to the table."
Yeah, we'll play yours one week, and then the next week after I'll show you mine and we'll play mine.
Yeah.
And then the week after that we'll play with little Johnny's in the corner.
Yeah. And obviously the nature of board games means that mostly this works really well because people don't duplicate their purchases, and rather than missing out, because they share their endeavors and they share their resource, all of the players in the group get to play more games. And I was thinking about this, and I was wondering why it is that the scenario we've described earlier with Darren, where he effectively became a gaming advocate, that regardless of the fact that none of his friends were into it, he bought enough miniatures, rule books, cards, all of the assets so that Moonstone was just ready to go. Why this model of, why is this not the default way of buying, painting, and collecting war games?
I'm gonna jump all over you like a rash right now. I think part
it's
of
Brokeback Stream.
part of it is to do with the expense of the game. Certain games like Moonstone, where you only have to buy a couple of boxes, or
Okay.
Carnivalo, where you only have to buy a couple of boxes, are a good example of
Right.
you can do it. It's not an over commitment to doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So, like,
Doing two
let's take the
entire
worst.
40k armies
Yeah, I was just about to
or
say.
Kings of War armies. Kings of War, okay, isn't the most expensive of games because you can buy the big army boxes for 120 quid.
Yes.
But when you factor in the amount of hours that you will have spent staring at dwarves and elves while you paint them,
Yeah.
you might not ever touch those dwarves and elves again.
Okay. So, I think I get what you're saying, and that's completely fair. I do appreciate that there is a massive difference in between investing in buying a board game and painting 2 1,000 point armies for bolt action, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And again, why should you, Trevor? It doesn't make any sense. If you were going to spend that sort of money, instead of buying the same game as David, buy Eldritch Horror or fucking Unfathomable, some other
Mansions
Cthulhu.
of Madness.
Yeah, Mansions of Madness, some other Cthulhu themed board game, because then when we go to board game night, it's like, what's the point of 3 people owning the same Arkham Horror variant? David and I did this. Our biggest regret is both backing Assassin's Creed. Utter waste of resources.
Everdell.
Total waste. Again, buying all the shit of Everdell in duplicate. Why? One of us should have bought it.
I will justify both of those purchases, though. They were done when we were both in different points in our life. You were up in Scotland.
That
I
is
was
very
down here.
true. I'll let you off, I suppose. That is fair. But having said that, I think it's a mistake we're not going to reproduce while we do live in reasonable proximity and spend some time together, is it? You know?
No, not at all.
So, okay, there's the accessibility and achievability argument. You know, war games can be hugely expensive and hugely time intensive, which makes the model of being the guy who does everything impractical.
Do you want the next thing on my list?
Go on then. Have you got another negative?
Yeah, a lot. Unlike a board game where you own it and it's just bits of cardboard.
Yes.
You've spent time and effort
Evening,
assembling
Rich.
these miniatures, painting these miniatures, etc., etc. It feels a little bad to leech off your like. This is just me speaking out loud for me and you. It feels bad me leeching off your hobby time because you've built 2 armies. I know we're slightly different in the fact that if you've built 2 armies, I will have built 2 armies for a game and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it still feels bad. And again, there's a lot of, well, I'd have painted them this way. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And done it this way, not that way. And it's all well and good borrowing your friends' miniatures for a demo game to know whether you like it or not, but longer term you want to get your own kind of thing.
You want to put your own mark on it.
Yeah.
I mean, being my own sort of worst enemy, I suppose there is a proportion of wargaming. There is an element of wargaming where the hobby and creating something, painting, collecting something that is yours and only yours and uniquely yours, that is a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, again,
and
like
the drawback with being the guy like you say, the drawback is that there are definitely some players for whom there's just no buzz with playing with somebody else's toys. It just does dampen the game experience for some, doesn't it?
I'll tell you what it's akin to. It's akin to getting Lego out of a box and cracking the packs for the first time.
Right.
And opening the packets and building and assembling them. The second time you build a Lego set, it's never quite the same.
Right.
At least in my experience.
And you think there's that, like, if you were to play a game but play with somebody else's models, the first time's got novelty, the second time feels hollow, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting argument.
And again, that comes back into feeding into what I was just saying about people collecting and wanting their own stuff as well.
Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely think
the cellophane and that kind of thing on your first purchase and your build.
I totally get. That's definitely a thing, and to be fair, sort of alongside what you've just said, there is that risk that if your opponent, say you're the man who's got the Infinity Collection, and you're always giving your models to somebody else to play, maybe there's an element that person just feels like they're always in demo game mode and are never really fully invested.
Yeah, they can't. And again, this is the other thing. Even if, for example, I've got Using and Pan-Oceania for Infinity.
Yeah.
I've built my 300-point list so that they're quite good against one another and they're quite good against other 300-point lists that can be brought.
Yeah.
But they're mine and my miniatures. I own no tags.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to play experience with tags, guess what, Buttercup? Can't give you that.
But yeah, I get what you're saying there, but kind of remember what I'm advocating is a situation where you might actually have broadened your collection in Infinity, but at the expense of other games. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, but this is what I'm just about to come to.
Yeah.
Was, as you say, you may have a collection and you may have diversified, added some tags, added some remotes, added some heavy infantry, whatever. But there might be something new released or something that really speaks to a certain player in that particular faction, in that particular lineup. Take the Wolves in Ariadne as a sort of a poster boy for this.
Yeah.
But I don't have those. But you're playing with my Ariadne collection.
Yeah.
And you would like to try them, for example. Well, I've then got to go out and buy them for a model that I wouldn't necessarily use for that particular lit. Do you see the point?
I do, but I do think there's an element of as wargamers, we could always proxy if you were absolutely dying to try a particular type of model and I didn't own it, I would assume because you were dying to try it, you were maybe considering becoming an investor yourself, because obviously there's nothing to say that this is set in stone. Even if, I mean, let's take an example where it might be the case. Let's say, for example, I bought a ton of Batman miniature game and we actually played Batman a few times.
Yeah.
And you said, do you know what? This game's not bad. I don't love it and I'm not going to spend a fucking fortune on it, but I'll probably get a crew. And I sort of like Joker. That's quite a cool idea with all the little stupid robots and that. So I'll do that. And that's all I'll have. I'm, do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that just because one guy's got the responsibility for being Mr. Big with game A that nobody else can ever spend their money on it. Do you know what I mean? I think there's still...
Yeah, but then isn't that kind of defeatist on the point you're trying to make here of diversifying longer term? Because you dilute because person A's got a fairly whacking great collection, can do 2 or 3. And again, look at me with Drop Zone Commander. Drop Zone Commander is probably my example of it. I have all 5 factions, so I can run decent sized demo games for most people.
Yeah, with all of the main factions.
But because I have 5 factions, I'm then thin on the ground when it comes to a full size game.
Yeah. Okay.
So is elements of that going to play in? Oh well, I'm spending, rather than spending my £200 budget on just really nailing one faction, I've actually got to get 2 factions for that price point.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's... Yeah. Because,
it's the ultimate
again,
devil's advocate back the other way.
My sort of argument is that, I don't know if I'm not being clear, but instead of like buying multiple models and terrain for every game system, you can sort of consolidate your expenditure. I do think it would happen that organically certain players would get bigger factions for certain games. I suppose the other problem though with my idea is, what if everybody sort of likes a game and is okay to play it, but nobody really fucking loves it? At that point, nobody's going to buy a shit ton of stuff for it, are they?
Yeah.
But then again, there's a lot of war games out there now. If you don't absolutely love the games, should you be playing them anyway? I mean,
Tim's hit another negative on the head here. Greasy, dirty hobbits is touching my miniatures.
I hadn't really thought of that. Rich says it's same as borrowing a car or a bike. It doesn't quite feel right. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I guess, I mean, to be fair, though, being a bit less flippant about what Tim said, if you are the kind of guy who spends, 30 or 40 hours painting squads of miniatures, and then you watch your opponent almost flick them across the table, and this has happened with us playing board games. We've played board games at club, and I've sat with people and watched them literally throw cards and tokens across the table, with disdain, not worried about bending things or bouncing things off the floor. And, it's bad enough to do that with card and paper assets in a board game, but to do that with somebody's miniatures, yeah, I can see that there might be some issues potentially there.
Or again, if you're David and you're a little bit clumsy and you knock miniatures from the table and they all shatter into a billion pieces.
Yeah, but to be fair, mate, mistakes are mistakes. I think that's a different thing. I think, you can be as precious as you like, but ultimately this is a game of interacting with other people. And unless they're turning up 3 parts pissed on 4 cans of special brew, I don't think you can, accidents happen. It's like when my grandsons come over to visit and my stepson, bless him, is like, no, leave that alone. Don't touch that. Don't. I'm like, James, I can glue it, mate. It's fine. Just calm down. If it was really serious, I'd have made sure it was a way out where they can't reach. So, just
well, again,
chill,
it was like
dude.
my lad at the weekend dropped his Gaslands car, and the ram broke in 3 pieces, and he was like, "Oh no, it's broken everything." Bless him. And it's like, yeah, get the super glue out. We're we're sorted. Shit happens.
Yeah, you just go. Like you say, you've got to be a bit chill. And I think that's the same with that. So Tim says also, if you want to play a game, I want to play on my time, not when the game. Oh, that's a fucking good shout. That is a good shout, Tim, and that's a massive con.
Yes, Captain Book till April.
No, that is fair. I mean, to be fair, I suppose this is the flaw. I've just realised what a fool of a took I am. Because actually, there's another important difference with board games, isn't there? The way that this sort of communal shared gaming model works is the vast majority of board games support in the region of 3 to 6 players as standard.
Yes.
Head-to-head board games exist, but I think if you were to examine the board gaming market, fact check and prove me wrong in the comments below, that the sort of like direct to head 2-player only games would be in the minority versus the larger section of multiplayer leisure board games. And obviously that is almost directly opposite the scenario with miniature games, isn't it?
And again, it doesn't even necessarily have to be 2-player head-to-head. It could be 2-player co-op.
Yeah. And like Tim says, the problem is if, you know, with a board game group, if you've got 5 or 6 people and they all bring 2 to 3 games apiece, immediately you've got 15 games that potentially everyone can play the same game. If you have this with miniature games, and each one is a champion of only 1 or 2 games because they're ridiculously expensive and they take a huge amount of time to prepare, as soon as that person's not there, that locks that game out of everybody else's reach. That is a very good point. That's true, Tim. That's very true.
How they're packaged.
Yeah. Because obviously the pushback is, oh, well, that's fine because Bob can give all of his miniatures and terrain to Dave so that Dave can show everybody can play Carnivale with James this week. Do you know what I mean? But it's like Tim's just said. I can take my copy of fucking Assassin's Creed and go, there you go. You can play that.
Well, no, you can't because Assassin's Creed's a really bad example because it's set up a particular way. Everdell, yes.
Well, yeah, but I can give you my board game and you can go and play it. Whereas I give you like 3 60-litre totes of terrain miniatures, fucking rule books.
Oh God,
it's like
fucking mental.
A whole another level of psychopathy. I think as we talk, we're coming round to discovering why wargaming exists in the format that it does, and that the frustrations that come from it, probably smarter people than me have already tried to solve.
Because one thing I will say, Mantic in their great will after the great pandemic and giving those board games away to club,
the start sets,
what was a lovely gesture. So Armada, Kings of War,
I mean, they didn't exactly give them away, but the discounts were fucking to the bone, weren't they?
What was the other one? Overdrive.
Yeah.
I feel slightly bad because I painted Overdrive.
Yeah.
That's basically only been played by me at club. Nobody else has played it.
To be fair, I would like to play it. We should play it one board game night. Is it a quick thing?
It's not terrible, but again, the problem is it's 2-player on board game night. What does it tend to be?
Oh,
3,
shit.
4, 5 of us.
Maybe we should nick it and do it on a Saturday night. Because I'd just like to try it.
Armada got massively into and worked really well for club.
Yeah.
Kings of War is still on the list to finish.
Do you know what?
Because we need to get the rats back off Jack.
We should just get those. I should go over and get those models off him and just do the fucking things. I could do a basic bitch paint job on them.
Exactly. And then Dead Zone I've built and the terrain and stuff's been played with, but not necessarily the Dead Zone factions.
No, but that's because I've got one and Ricky's got his own. So
yeah. But I feel bad because I've committed time to those, but only really one of the four's seen the light of day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You feel like you've wasted your time.
Don't get me wrong, it's okay because it's for club, but
does that feed into this conversation? Because I've sort of missed the connection.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Sort of, Darren's a prime example here.
Oh, what all the work Darren's done on Moonstone. Oh, okay.
Got into it, etc. But then actually, it doesn't really go anywhere.
No, I get it. I see where you were going there. That was very thick of me. Yes, so what you're saying is that if you are the guy that invests in game X, spends 200 hours and a fuck ton of money, and then it turns out everybody plays it once and goes, yeah, no, actually, it's not really for me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's funnily enough, Tim. We've had on our list to do a stream about running a club, for a while, because obviously David and I have been members of the Whole Beach Club for years, and I helped set it up back in the day, fucking I don't know how many years ago, and I think,
as daft as it seems, it's over 10 probably now.
We've got a fair amount of club assets, but one of the things that never really gets used is the armies.
The demo games or the armies
that
we have.
In terms of the investment, the cash investments we made as a gaming club, the only thing that I would say that was not a mistake in any sense is terrain. The terrain and the
mats
and terrain will always be used, always get used. We've got some self-contained two-player games like X-Wing. We've got starter set models for Malifaux second edition. We've got Bolt Action. We've got the old D-Day starter set.
It's a toughie. It's a toughie.
I think because again, this is the other thing. And I think the reason for this is probably related to the conversation we're having, isn't it, mate?
Mm-hmm.
People don't... If somebody wants to try a war game, they go to somebody who's already got a fucking massive collection to show them that war game. You don't get two completely random people who don't know what they're doing going, did you say you've got a bolt action start set? Can we play with that? Doesn't happen. Somebody at the club goes...
No, because again, a lot of people want hand-holding and guiding through their first few play experiences. And again...
Oh, that's true, Trevor. The painting lamps, they were a good purchase.
Just following on from what Paul was saying there. Bloodfields is a game that's been on my radar for a while. I backed the Kickstarter and I've got some factions for it, etc. And subbed to the Patreon for a while, so I have quite a lot of factions. And I've said to Paul about getting into it, and we played it at UK Games Expo. Was it last year or the year before?
I think it was last year. Oh no, it might have been the year before, actually, mate.
We played our first demo game the year before. I've just started printing my faction, the Ogres, that are relatively well-rounded and balanced.
Yeah,
and then Paul has already said that he would be down for some Japanese style miniatures. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to print 2 factions so that I can introduce other people to the game. But the problem being, it uses custom dice. And yes, I have purchased the custom dice and they are carried in my box all the time so people could play it.
Yeah.
And the rules are free online. So again, people can have a look at it, etc. But it is a commitment for me to then be bringing those miniatures just on the off chance that somebody wants to play Bloodfields, which is sort of locked behind a paywall anyway.
Yeah, but what happens in real life is that somebody would say in the Discord, or they might see a photo of a game that's been played and said, "Oh, that looks good. Who can I play that?" And then obviously up steps you and you say, "Yeah, I've got everything. We just need to schedule it." And that's why the stuff doesn't get used at club, because if we're buying it for club, there's at least one person at club who's already got a shit ton of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with a couple of exceptions like Overdrive. Yeah.
Where did my snakebite leather go? That's skeleton horde.
Right. We need other colours here. We need other colours, peeps. Let's get the old phone up. Yeah. It's a shame that, as I say, it's been a good discussion because I think I've realised the flaw in my own thinking.
You've fallen upon your own petard.
Yeah, I have. But it's quite interesting because, as I say, having the conversation has made me realise that, because again, let's talk about these paints and then we can come back to it. So this is where we are, folks. Let me get some more light on this situation. I'm a little bit far across. Let's go here. How does that work better for everybody?
Oh, she's looking good, dude.
Yeah, they're working quite well as a little palette of browns and oranges. I'm just wondering where to go. So she's got quite a heavy scarf around her neck, which is tied at the front there with a little knot. She's obviously got the straps that she's carrying the cooking pot cauldron with, and she's got like a looped strap thing on her waist there that goes around. Do I just go for some really dark brown? What do we think, guys? Is that just a completely stereo? Is that just a cop out?
Why not like a black leather strapping?
Literally just go black.
Yeah.
You think?
Or black grey or something in that vein.
So can you see here? Look, she's got like a little satchel and a little sack hanging off the.
Yeah.
And she's got little bags here. Should I just keep picking loads of different colours, or do you think I should maybe calm it down and do like several of them as one colour?
Dude, Skittles factory.
Yeah, that's what I'm a bit worried of. I'm a bit worried about getting carried away here. Blue on the pot. Do you know what? That's a good shout, you know. Instead of going cast iron, actually do some sort of weird metallic, or even just some weird
Enamelled?
colour. Yeah.
Why not do like an enamelled pot?
Like a gloss colour. That's
well, even like a cream.
Ooh. Oh, what about doing like the old white enamelled metal undercoat? Do like an off-white and then chip it with black? Would that work?
Yeah, probably.
That could be a weird look, couldn't it? I'm just reluctant to just go brown. Do you know what I mean?
I know why, dude. I mean, again, It's like these.
But at the same time, I don't want the explosion in Skittles factory that you just mentioned. Do you know what I mean?
Well, again, I'll show you something in a minute. I'm doing something a bit weird and a bit different. I'm using contrast.
I haven't painted anywhere near neat enough for contrast to work.
Well, these claws of Karanak have leather boots, and I'd want to do it as a brown leather, but I don't want to do it as dark as the skin tone.
Right.
So I'll show you what I'm doing. If come on down, he says.
Yeah, glowing green for the stuff in the Yeah, Tim says no, go black with the pot. Cliche. But the glowing green contents, that's very similar to what they did in the miniature on the website, mate. I was already sure I was going to go with that. Here we go. Here's David's. Very nice. I love that skin. I love the skin tone on those, like, sort of flayed pieces of clothing.
So what I've just done is pick out the strapping in deck tan, and then I'm going to give that a wash so it looks like it's bandages.
Yeah.
But while I had the deck tan out, I thought, fuck it, I'm going to paint the boots.
Okay.
Because if I paint the boots with deck tan, I can then go in with a orangey brown snakebite leather.
Oh, that's... Do you know what? I was just thinking that one looks shit because he looks like Gary Glitter. But now I've seen that, I know what you're doing. That's really good. That is really good.
I'm going to leave the white. I'm going to just wash this white with the deck tan even with a bit of Agrax or Null just to dirty it down.
You have inspired me there. Why don't I just take something like deck tan, neaten this shit up, and then attack it with like some of these speed paints? You may have something there, sir. You may have.
Because again, it's the first time I've done something like this. Because 9 times out of 10, when I'm using contrast, I'm using it over a zenithal. But obviously, I can't use it over a zenithal on these because I dry brush the living shit out of them to get the tones right. To put the red over.
I think the other thing I'm going to do to stop my colour palette getting completely out of fucking control is this patch that's on the back of a skirt that I've left. I'm going to paint it the same as her apron, so it looks like she's patched it with the same material that her apron's made out of.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I think it will get a bit out of hand. The old colour selection.
You're done with my camera.
Yes, mate. I'll turn that back off. Anyway, what were we talking about before we got derailed into talking about models? We were talking about somebody's always got all the stuff anyway, so you don't use it. And oh, I know what I was gonna make. Do you know what I was gonna make as like a closing point? What have we got? 10 minutes. Is it 10 minutes? We've got 10 minutes.
Thereabouts.
Uncle Atom, bless him, we mentioned him earlier. One of the things that he's done at least half a dozen videos on, and he constantly bangs on about, is this concept of gaming advocacy, where, like Darren earlier, you get it almost as if you are working for the games company, and you say, I must have enough stuff ready to go to show this game to somebody at a minute's notice. So you have just enough terrain, just enough models, just enough of everything, that if somebody says, could you show me this game, that you can put on what is essentially a demonstration game. It may not be the full thing, it may not be the full play experience, but it's something to introduce new players. And obviously he calls it gaming advocacy. And in a real sense, it's what I've been talking about, but on a scale that's manageable. Night Rich. It's like Tim says, be the demo guy. it's like what I've been talking about, but on a scale that most people could manage.
Yeah.
And obviously, just from a point of view of resources and focus, and as long as everybody's got access to the assets to play these games, my theory is sound, but it breaks under the weight of the practicalities of wargaming and the
Well, I'll tell you the other thing that it breaks under the practicalities of.
Yeah.
And this is going to be an absolute fucking 12-inch dagger to your back. So please brace yourself.
Well, you're nothing if not honest.
You need to not be booked up 6 months in advance.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, can you show
can't...
me? Can you show me this game? Well, yeah. When are you thinking? June? No, I'd sort of like to play it this week if possible. Yeah.
Or
no.
next week at a push.
Yeah. And to be fair, this does bring. This is another thing that we need to do a stream about gaming clubs, the pros and cons. We might have to do it next week. Depends on what the news cycle's like and whether we get inspired to do something else, because there's loads of things that we can talk about in terms of gaming clubs. But no, that's fair, mate. I mean, again, but
Tim, can you show me where the game hurt you?
But the problem, I mean, in effect, though, what you've said still applies to the gaming advocacy model. That still has issues with that. Even if the gaming advocate, if you're the gaming advocate for Star Wars Shatterpoint and you're never free, then you've got a problem. But the issue with that is, at what point is being an advocate for Shatterpoint your job?
Yes.
Or when can and when can you just use club night to enjoy yourself and indulge yourself in a full-length game with somebody else who's already invested? That's a difficult one. That's a difficult balance. But I think in tonight's conversation we've definitely illuminated why wargaming is what it is. Why it is that people step into a game and basically just try and focus on what they need to do to get going, because it's so difficult to do just that, taking on the responsibility of doing everything for everyone else is like a road to madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting there with my Claws of Karanak. They're not going to be too long off being done, I don't think, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to pick that. Don't know.
I'm going to go... Do you know what? I am going to go with German camo black brown. I'm going to go...
Where's me Flesh Tearers red?
Yeah,
Oh,
Tim says our hobby is madness in itself. I was reading something else I don't think I've mentioned on stream. I finally got round to starting Mike Hutchinson's, and what's the name of the other guy?
Gary, Jerry, something along those lines, isn't
They
it?
do. Go check them out. Rules of Carnage. They do a podcast, and they've got a YouTube channel. They've written a book, The Fundamentals of Miniature Wargaming, or something like that. I got it for Christmas, and I've finally started reading it. What I want to do is I want to finish it myself and then let David read it, and then we will get into it on stream. David, look at Ewok. Ewok says, wrong colours. I have a couple of suggestions. Just stop, Ewok. Have you read it yet, Ewok? Ooh, Ewok bought it.
To be fair, you could do that pot Russian uniform.
might look a bit weird. Hammered cast iron pot, Russian uniform. I suppose if I do it like you say, the enamelled look, gloss varnish it or something, that might look quite cool and freaky. I could. Always play with the grit. Okay, Tim. Yeah, we will be discussing it. We'll probably do a live stream on it, but I want David to read it after me. But initial impressions.
Now,
it's very good.
To be fair, I need to listen to
that's
the
fucking
podcast
brilliant.
more.
You see, Ewok says, I don't read books I buy. Don't be daft. You'd think I'd read rule books next. Oh dear, I've just dropped my brush. Oh, right, okay. We're coming up to 10 o'clock. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a very good evening. I
think my internet's dying.
We hope you enjoyed the show. If you think that my mad theory can be salvaged and isn't just patent fucking nonsense, as the last 2 hours appear to have demonstrated, then feel free to put the fix in the comments below. Thank you very much to everybody who participated in the chat tonight. These are the co-stars of Yellow Belly Tabletop, and they make this an enjoyable experience for us to do, and hopefully a much more enjoyable experience for you to watch, because they're funnier than we are for a start. If we only ask you to do one thing, if you can, please click the like button. It helps to push the YouTube algorithm just a fraction and get us a few more views, which, you know, a 2-hour rambling nonsense like this needs all the fucking help it can get. If you want to do any of the other stuff that's listed under the like button, share, comment, subscribe, whatever, do that if it helps you to interact with YouTube. Do it if you like doing it, and then, you know, use it to enhance your experience. Don't feel that we're pressuring you to do that. And with that, I think we're pretty much done. And it's time to go to our awesome outro tune. I was going to say composed by the inimitable Ewok Kebab, but frankly, all he did was program some garbage into an AI bot, and it did all the hard lifting. But
hey, don't you be knocking AI bots now, because they did the stuff at the top of the stream on the video.
See you later, guys.
It's another Thursday night. I see Crispin's wearing tights. Spam is getting in the bath. Young David's full of wrath. Paul is tightening his straps. Where on his apron you saps. Technical difficulties. They're really such a crime. Technical difficulties. They happen all the time. It's Yellow Belly Tabletop 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 time. Cheese meat is on day release. Tensile tries not to crease. Ewoks keeping nice and warm. In bed with Russian uniform. Meanwhile, the handyman is opening up the can. Technical difficulties. They're really such is on day release. Damn ship tries not to crease, but Ewok's keeping nice and warm in bed with Russian uniform. Meanwhile, the handyman is opening another can. It's Yellow Belly Tabletop time. 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 Kismet is on day release. Damn me up tries not to crease, and Ewok's keeping nice and warm in bed with Russian uniform. Meanwhile, the handyman is opening another can.